Let's reuse some code to make a race. This is how to learn Scratch programming language. The Scratch programming language is free, fun and easy to learn. Most programming languages are text-based, so a learner has to gain experience writing the code, but Scratch program is easier as it uses blocks. The learner selects blocks, puts them together and runs the program in a simple way, making it the most fun and easiest way to learn programming. In task 8 we're going to reuse the code from task 7. So in task 7 we created this maze and we have the code blocks from when we created it. Now in task 8 we're going to make a race. So we're going to draw a race track, but once we start the race we want the cat to move up, down, left and right the same as in task 7. So a lot of the code blocks are going to be the same, so we can reuse them. So we can start off by deleting the maze. So now we have the end and we have the cat. So now what we need to do is we need to create the race track. Let's go to the paint editor and we've got a color here, we've got blue, so you can change the color to which color you like, and we've got select the brush, and the brush we're going to change to about 60, so that you can see there that gives us the width, and the width we need is for the cat to be able to go around the track but not too easily. So we can create a track by just drawing a line. You can draw a nice circular track if you like. We're going to create a kind of very wobbly round track that's a bit like a cave. So we're going to keep within the square to make it nice and easy. But we go around and you can design whatever track you like. And there we have our track. Okay, now the difference with the track than the maze is the maze we wanted the cat not to go through the walls, where in the track we actually want the cat to stay on it. So if we look at the code of our cat, you can see where we've got the touching sprite, that's when it goes backwards. But actually we don't want that. What we need is touching the colour. So here we're going to touch the white, which is outside of the track. That's when it's going to go backwards if you like. So instead of touching sprite, it's going to be touching colour. So we can create 4 of them. And then change them into each direction. So taking out the touching sprite and we're going to do touching colour. Now you may, if you draw a very nice track, you might want to add curbs and maybe different colours for different speeds of slowing the cat down, the sprite down. That's up to you. But the basic race that we're going to create, just touching white. So here we go. So now we've got the same code as previously. We've reused the code, but now we're going to do touching white colour to stop that. So we can see here the cat at the moment starts at the top, so we want the cat to start somewhere down the bottom. So let's move the go to block, but first of all we can't see the cat here, so we need to move it to the front. We can go to the looks category and near the bottom we can see go to front layer. So we can add that to the cat and now we can see the cat. Perhaps we can make the start. Let's see if we can select the cat, make it go to the front and then move the cat to the front, and also when we finish we need the cross to be at the front as well. So we go to front layer. So let's click that. So maybe the end, maybe just behind where the cat's going to start. So there we have our cat. So we can go back to our cat code. We can make sure the cat goes to the start when we click the green flag. So this is how our race is going to look. Now we need to make sure the cat can actually get through each bend. So the main thing with this task is to check that it works. Something new that we're going to add to this task from the task previously is we're going to time the race. So we need to add seconds and potentially minutes. So we can start with a variable. So we can make a variable and call this seconds. So at the start we're going to set seconds to 0. So once we click the green flag, seconds goes to 0. Now when we're moving, we want it to change. So we need to change the variable by 1. So we need to change that by 1. But we need to change it every second. So we need a delay. We can go to our control and wait for 1 second. So we can wait 1 second and then change seconds by 1. So we need a forever loop. So we can get our forever loop. And now we're going to change. Now once we get to the red cross, we want to stop. So we need an if statement. So if, and then once we're touching, so we can go to our touching, and then we've actually already got this code. If we look in our code, we've got if touch button 5. Instead of saying you've won, we can just stop all. So we can add that. If we go to our control and stop all, and let's move that block into our forever loop. So in our forever loop, we're going to have seconds, starts at 0, and then every second it's going to change. So that's going to be basically our clock. You can see here. And then once we get to the red cross, then that stops everything, and then the seconds will stop. So now we need to add minutes. So we're going to make a variable and call it minutes. Okay, and then we're going to set minutes to 0. And now we need another if statement. So what we're going to say, if seconds equals, so let's find the equals. So if seconds equals 60, let's get seconds. If seconds equals 60, then what we're going to do is we're going to change minutes by 1, and also we're going to set seconds back to 0. So that means that once we get to 60 seconds, then we change minutes by 1. So here's our code for our clock. Now you can see here that we've gone over the track slightly, so we might want to move the track if we can. We can move it slightly so the track is, we can still move around the track. Let's see. Okay. So now we might need to move the cat and the final cross to make the race good. Or in fact what we could do is, if we go to the costume, if we select the track and then make it just slightly smaller, might make it a bit more difficult. So here the track is slightly smaller and that makes it more difficult. So we need to test it again. So let's go back, go to front, and also our ending we need to go back to front. Now we want to change, let's say the start. So we want the start the ending to be in the correct place, and also the cat to be in the correct place. Right, so now we need to check to see, now we've made the track smaller, to see if it still works or not. So let's test our program. So when green flag is clicked, let's see if the cat can go around the track okay. You can see it's slightly going off the square here, which is not good, but it makes it a bit more difficult. So the cat goes round. Seems to be quite straightforward. The cat does get stuck, so it means that when it's going off the track it stops. So we go around. We're trying to go around relatively slowly, so we want to see if our seconds change to minutes. So we're about halfway, and we go around. You can see every time that we hit the white, we're off the track slightly, then the cat stops. So you might want to add even some white colour to the track to make it more difficult, to make the bends more difficult, but obviously you need to check to make sure the cat can get round. If it gets stuck, then obviously you can't play the game. So now we're getting through to the 1 minute mark. You can see our seconds have changed from 60 back to 0, and we've got 1 minute. So we can finally check to make sure our track is okay. Nearly finished, and then we've got to the end. So let's have a look at our final code. So we had no code on the track. We had just to go to the front and the placement of the finished line. You could probably change it to a line rather than a cross, but we just reused the code here. And in the cat we had the same code as we had before for the last task, except for we changed the color, the touching sprite to touching color, and also we added on the clock. So we had seconds and minutes. We stopped all when we get to the finishing line or cross, and to create the clock we used a wait 1 second and change seconds by 1. So the game waits 1 second and then adds 1 to the seconds variable. And finally, to add minutes to the clock, we just add this if statement. When seconds equals 60, it goes back to 0, and we change minutes by 1. So there's the final code from our task 8, the race, where we reused our code from the previous task. Well, we hope you enjoyed that. Now, if you're interested in learning more or learning other programming languages, then please subscribe. And every time a video comes out, if you hit that notification bell, then that will let you know.